Thomas the Hermit here, and I'm going to talk about why sex has become empty and the illusions of the so-called sexual revolution. Now, I think that there is an epidemic amongst young people today, and that sex has become a meaningless act. Yes, I know there are people out there who think that they are getting their jollies off, or think that they are getting much pleasure, or they think that they are really getting a lot of erotic enjoyment out of things that they're doing, and people are doing much more perverse things than they used to. There's a lot more group sex things than there used to be. I'm talking about when I grew up in the 70s. Of course, during the 70s was the beginning of the called sexual revolution. And of course, historically speaking, that was kind of fueled by the whole birth control thing, and also very sadly by making abortion available to women, the whole Roe versus Wade mess that happened. But I think today young people are in a crisis, and they are finding sex to be something extremely empty. And I can relate to that because I was in a marriage that never had real intimacy. So, and in that marriage, my wife would do anything that I wanted, sexually, you know. But I found sex to be very, very empty because where there is no relationship, there's this empty act. And that act may have a physical pleasure to it, and there may be the releasing of endorphins because of orgasm, but there was no meaning to it, and therefore it was empty. And I think that these days, a lot of people are running into a lot of meaningless sex. And I think that there's many, many reasons for that. One is that there are a lot of loveless relationships. There's a lot of so-called hookups. There's a lot of, oh, that's my baby's daddy, or that's my baby's mama, kind of an attitude. And we have this very flippant attitude. There's a lot of emptiness. There's no love between people anymore. And because of that, the fulfillment of sex has become empty. And you know it. You know it within your heart that there's nothing there. Is this all there is? So glamorized. Sex was so glamorized. Look at the pornography and all the things that people are doing and how excited everyone always is to have sex. And then you end up in this loveless relationship where you can do all the sex you want and it doesn't feel like anything. It's so empty. And this is because sex wasn't created for that. And no matter how much these psychologists and the liberal theologians and all of them tried to say, oh, we are living in a different age, and people can go and enjoy themselves. Well, where is the enjoyment? I see a lot of emptiness. I see a lot of coldness. I see a lot of fighting. I see a lot of disunity within couples, men and women. I see a lot of disappointment. Men and women are so disappointed with each other today. How many of you have run into the situation where you're so disappointed in the person that you're with that you don't even want to have sex with them anymore? How could such a thing happen? And that sounds ridiculous and silly, but we're not making the connection. Sex wasn't created for that. when sex is connected in a loving relationship where two people actually care about each other and sacrifice for one another, then sex has meaning within that context. But when you are using each other, it will be empty. It will be meaningless. And you can make your definitions and you can say, this is what I like and this is the kind of person and this is my lifestyle. And you can do that till the cows come home, but it won't change the emptiness that you are experiencing. You go and do what you want to do and see how unfulfilling that really is. Because that's the doorway that you have opened up. I would have traded anything. I would have traded less sex for more relationship in my marriage. And I'm certain that a lot of you would be so much happier if you had a real relationship. But the people who are pulling the strings right now don't really want men and women to love each other. They really want men and women to be at war with one another. They want to divide and conquer, and they want to sit on the top of it and accuse each of them of failure and destroy the unity, because the unity between man and woman in creating a family is a threat to the people that are pulling the strings now. The smart people, and all they want is control over you, and they don't want anyone to have a fulfilling life except the glorification of their own selves. If you really want to listen, if you really want to hear, there is something greater in life than this emptiness. This is Thomas the Hermit. I'm not better than you, so say a prayer for me. I am praying for you. I'll talk to you later.